I would help Nancy Pelosi if she needs some votes. I like Nancy Pelosi. I mean, she's tough and she's smart, but she deserves to be Speaker. And now they're playing games with her. There's nobody else should be Speaker. If she needs any votes, if she asks me, I will give her the votes to put her over the top.
President Trump looking like he's going to bat for Nancy Pelosi, even offering to back her as the next House Speaker. And Pelosi is not the only Democrat getting some kind words from the president. He also tweeted out congrats to the failed Democratic gubernatorial candidate Andrew Gillum in Florida, calling him a quote-unquote force to reckon with. So just how far is the president willing to go to work with Democrats? Here to weigh in, CBN's chief political correspondent, David Brody. Good morning, David.
Hey, Ed, good to see you.
So on the surface, it seems like, okay, maybe the president is reaching out. On the other hand, we know oftentimes in his tweets he's not reaching out. He's going after his opponents. So is this, fake praise, or is this a president who really genuinely wants to reach across the aisle to Democrats, do you think?
Well, first of all, I don't think there's any sort of kumbaya experience that we're about to see here in Washington at all. Look, I think this is Donald Trump morphing from commander-in-chief to TV analyst, basically, like with Andrew Gillum, for example, terrific in the future. I mean, this is kind of the way he sees it. Like if he was on Fox and Friends sitting on the couch, he would say, that, this is his view of that. And then as for Nancy Pelosi, look, I do think he thinks that she's a fighter. He's a fighter. There are folks coming against Nancy Pelosi. There are a lot of folks coming against Donald Trump. I think there's somewhat of a symbiotic experience there. And so I think he can relate to a certain degree.
He can relate, but isn't it also about Trump, the master political strategist, because he sees the fact that Nancy Pelosi should be strong right now after the Democrats took back the House, but she actually looks kind of weak because it's not clear she has the votes, Democratic votes, to become Speaker of the House. So by the president saying, hey, I'll get some Republican votes, we'll deliver for you, doesn't that suggest maybe that she'd be beholden to Republicans? And that also exposes what Democrats are worried about, rank and file Democrats, that the president desperately wants her to be Speaker because she's unpopular.
Well, absolutely, Ed. First of all, she'd be a great foil in 2020. There's no doubt about it. And also, look, she needs 218, right, in January to become Speaker. And here comes Donald Trump saying, hey, Nancy, I got your 218 right here, as he would say in New York. Except the thing is that if you're 3 or 4 votes short, get ready. I've got a few that I can give you. Not that it's really ever going to come to that, Ed, but here's the thing. When he does that, that's also code for, hey, if I'm going to give you 3 or 4 votes to put you over the top, you need to give me something.
So when we get beyond the tweets and all of that, you know better than anyone, the president didn't have much of a relationship with the Republican Speaker, Paul Ryan, who's retiring anyway. Ryan didn't really campaign much for him in 2016. They didn't forge a good bond. Could this president, you mentioned New York, he's somebody who, as a New Yorker, is not really tied down to ideology as a conservative and may actually reach across the aisle. Could you see him, despite some of the battles back and forth, cutting deals with Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer?
Well, in a perfect scenario, yes. Perfect world, yes. Here's the problem. The Democrats have Trump derangement syndrome. They are not going to give him any sort of victory. I mean, let's think about it, Ed. And you've been around a long time here. I mean, in a good way, by the way, Ed. I just want to say. But look, do you really think Nancy Pelosi and Steny Hoyer and Chuck Schumer want a Rose Garden ceremony in an election year with Donald Trump on really any sort of issue? Criminal justice reform, I think they can get there. Infrastructure, I'm not buying that at all. And as for health care, forget about it. Look, we're going to a presidential year. I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, so last question. Many in the mainstream media might want to put all of this on the president and say, can he get this stuff done? But Democrats have a responsibility to govern now, that they have some power and they're taking over the House. So to your last point, will Democrats, do you think, be able to get past the resist that we've heard for the last 2 years and actually try to work with this president? For example, they want a DACA fix. What about money for the wall?
Right. So the answer is, let me think for a second. No, absolutely not. It's not going to happen. You can mail it in now. I will say this. To your point about immigration, look, Donald Trump, the president of the United States, ready to codify DACA into law. They don't want to do it at all. Why? They don't want to give money for the wall. So, look, they have made their voices clearer. And I will just say this. You better watch out with Donald Trump. He'll praise you one day. Ask Little Rocket Man. First, he's terrific, or he's Little Rocket Man, then he's terrific. Lindsey Graham is now West Wing BFFs, and before that, his cell phone had a problem.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. He could turn on you quick. And as I mentioned, master political strategist, something Democrats know full well. David Brody, appreciate you coming in to break it down.
Thanks, Ed.